Good morning, everybody. It's July 25th of 2025. This is going to be a journal reading for August 13th through 15th of 2024, so it's almost a year ago. Um, I'm just going to dive in and see where I ramble on from there. Um, so this is August 13th, and you'll see this read out in the journal. So I don't want to, I know I keep saying I don't want to be redundant, and yet I am. So anyway, 813, I asked Felicity if she wanted to keep her armor on. Now, Felicity is the part that um used to love to eat sweets and stuff her feelings. Let me see. I gotta share screen here. Um, mm, 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 mm. So here's the map at this point in time was August 1st of 2024. So let me find, but let's see if this thing will work. Control F. We got quite a delay going on here. Control F. There we go. Let me see. Here's Felicity. Role, health and longevity, location. Oh, this is after let me see if I can find the original one. I'll go back to July 8th of 24. Mm, 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 mm. You gonna open up for me? Oh, it is open. July 8th of 24. Felicity. Oh, it's the same, darn it. Go back. Sorry about that. We'll go to June 1st. Here we go. Yeah, this is different. Felicity is, where are you? Which was Fatty, was her original name. Let me see. 360. There she is. She was a gatekeeper. Now, if you look on the left here, you'll see there's three different pages. These were my first memories, and they each circle has different categories. These are my rebels. These are the parts that took uppers. These were passive. These took downers. These are victims. Parts that got tortured. These are my parts that were constantly in fear and anxiety. On the right here were liars. In the center was the sex slaves, quite a few of them. Off to the right, athletes here, the ones in training camp. And these were my worker bees, the parts that had jobs. Front personality, worker bees. Down here were the parts that were trained to the athletes, the workers, and the what I called killers at that time were the parts that had to kill the baby as a little girl, kill the cat, had to learn how to, use the bat and a knife and a long knife and strangulation. And anyway, in the center of it all were three gatekeepers. My file clerk who stored the memories, Trish who put the part in prison, and she was the prison guard, and Sarge was the sergeant in charge of, okay, you're gonna go down and assume this part. And when they came back from a job, Sarge would separate their memories into the file clerk and the prison. So my parts had their memories actually separated from them. And anyhow, but I needed more room. So if you see this little arrow down on the bottom, so the second page is when I was starting to remember more. And there's a picture of my real dad And these were parts that was learning. Wow, okay. This there was a sex slave, but along with the sex slave, I had to do other different jobs. I had to switch in and out of sex slave or an assassin or whatever. And so these are the gatekeepers between the two pages. And Fatty, Felicity is her new name, was the part that loved to eat sweets and stuff her feelings. She was the first layer. Siggy was the second layer and smoked cigarettes. And then there was Moneymaker, who I don't think was necessarily a wall or a gatekeeper, but this part was intertwined with, doing these jobs and suppressing what occurred. And these three little guys over here were abortions that I had. And then this third page down here is parts that were not um, tortured, did not have trauma. I realized that I have parts that were created without trauma. Well, I some had trauma. Like these are my pets that interjects of different pets. Gifts from God, my gut instinct, my clairvoyance, dreams. These are the thinker part of me, the bookworm, smarty pants, teacher's pet, John, my counselor, and I'm not going to mention him. And these are my creators, my creative ones, where I would use these creative arts to distract myself. So this is knit, and deco is for decorating, cooking, plant, which is the gardener in me, the organizer part of me, the part that likes to do my nails, put puzzles together. This was my mother-in-law and my mother. I was a caretaker for them, and it was a new role for me. And this is just different family members, my husband, my stepson, my mom and sisters, and my niece and nephew. And they were connected with God. These are, I later realized these are just nasty people in my life. At the time, I thought they might be parts, but so anyhow, I'm talking about Felicity. And here she is. Her original name was Fatty. So let me go to her page. Here she is. I need to show, this was her original picture. Because boy, do we love chocolate cake with chocolate frosting. And she would stuff herself to not feel. And she's discovered she doesn't have to do that anymore, even though we still love chocolate cake. This is me at that actual age. And I remember showing John my childhood pictures, and he said those are all forced smiles. And I can see it now. I really didn't see it until John pointed it out, but they are. This girl inside of me, and this was the outside shell. So that is who is now called Felicity. This was the new picture that she chose. And as you can see, she still has armor on. And her role was to eat away the pain and the shame. Her boss was Sarge and the executioner because she didn't like remembering the assassinations we had to do. Her allies were, and Andy is a part that likes to take uppers, the killers, the sex, the athletes, the liars, and the uppers. She was aligned with a lot of parts to be able to perform her function, which was to push down the pain and the shame. And this is Fatty. I eat stuff. I eat to stuff the guilt of killing. At this time, it was 122 humans. I eat mainly sugar because it causes cancer, and then I can be killed myself. Plus, if I'm fat, no one will want me for sex. Felicity is the heart between the bad stuff and the heinous and horrendous stuff. She protects our heart. So yeah, stuffing, and you might, I remember being judgmental of that in myself. Why do I do this and why? And so to compensate for it, Sarge was like, "Well, ride your bike for an hour every day, 5 days a week, and you can burn off the sugar that you ate." And so they're all working together to just keep everything stuff, but also for me to not get fat or unhealthy. So this is Felicity. So I'll go back to the journal. I asked Felicity, and now each night I would have a parts puddle where I gather everybody, get everybody together in a puddle in the bed, which is far too great of people now because I have over 1,000, but I still call it a parts puddle when we get together. I asked Felicity if she wants to keep her armor on. She did, but she understood it would be best if she changed clothes. So she has a very large cotton tunic with a belt on. It's plain linen. So let me see if I can find what she looks like now. This is my most recent map. Felicity. Oh, there she is. There she is. That's right. I haven't looked at her in a long time. Come on now. There we go. Said her original picture, her interim picture, and at this point I'm reading the journal, she had a tunic on, but ultimately she chose a new picture and it was this. And she's very soft and modest and happy. So incident stuffed food did not feel be fat and unappealing. Cover the bad taste in my mouth. That's right. I discovered that later, but now, that was the incident or her purpose. And now her purpose is for health and longevity. And there's this brick wall here to indicate to me that this was a wall. She was a guardian. And that's my Felicity. And this is, I just saw, oh, and here's how she came into being. I just saw a very large woman with a round face and full cheeks, curly hair, stuffing her face full of cake. There was another person at the table with Felicity. She was gorging herself. Felicity thought that that was a great idea. The woman told Felicity that they don't like her because she's fat, but she doesn't care. She just keeps eating and eating. The sweeter the better, she says. She says they tend to leave her alone because of it. Again, Felicity thought that was a great idea. So just standing at a dessert table with this woman after trauma, I believe it was after trauma, I'm still not sure. But my part, fatty, took on that habit. Oh, that's your strategy, and you're an adult. You're like 30 years old. Okay, I'm gonna try that too, because sweets sure taste great, and might maybe even give me upset stomach, whatever. But so that is Felicity from that time period. August 13th of 24. Dream showed me something about a calendar. However, every 3 months, two parts trade off, and that would be shadow and black. So so really that would be Sean and Bert. I've also been thinking about cigarettes, and why wouldn't they just give me candy instead as a child? Candy would be so much easier. And I discovered later on down the road that I was given real cigarettes that were laced, and I was also given candy cigarettes, which I believe turn into gum. And I think those were laced as well. But at this point, I was like, why? I don't understand. So just jotting down the little things that flit through your mind. I wonder that. It's important because later you can track and trace. It's parts popping up their head with just this little whisper and then going back down. And if you don't listen to that. Write those fleeting thoughts down. They mean something. It's a part. trying to get your attention. You might have that fleeting thought once a week for 4 or 5 weeks. And if you keep not recording it, and if you keep going, oh yeah, that's right, I thought, and you don't understand it, you think, oh, it must not be important. No, every little fleeting thought is important. It's a part raising their hand. Like, is she gonna pay attention to me? Is she gonna listen? Is she gonna think this fleeting thought's important enough to record? Because if you don't, at some point they'll just go, okay, she doesn't care about me. She cares about you and you and you, but not me. So it's important. Stuff's important. Let me close that out. Now I'll show you. Let me see. Yeah, here is Sean. He presented as Shadow Man, just as this black shadowy figure. And he was MK Ultra programming that was a layer of it. That's Bert, and here is Sean, or this is Bert, sorry, that was Sean. He presented as um black, no, Black Man. This was Shadow Man. That's right. And when I went to pick pictures out, this is what he liked. No, Bert is Black Man. Sean is Shadow Man. So Shadow Man, okay, so this is Black Man. So old picture, new picture. I really should have recorded on here that these are MK Ultra gatekeepers, but I think I have that in my later ones. So I just wanted to show you these guys. This is MK Ultra programming, and this is the first layer, Yuri. This was how he presented, was a demon with yellow eyes in a robe, a cloak, whatever you want to call those things. So I will get into that. Or that's what I just read to you. Um, with Sean and Bert. Okay, so this is August 15th of 24. Last night in my parts puddle, I saw that there were 3 shadows in the forest. I told them that they were welcome anytime they wanted to and left it at that. Then I had a good night's sleep. So time goes by. I said, so, the Scorpion Club. Years and years ago, I used to have a terrible dream about going into a building that had a large neon red scorpion over the top of the door. Today, Scorpion showed me that again. She's been whispering it to me for a couple of weeks now, but today I got more information. I put on a new dress I bought and it has large orange flower on the front of it. This is a club in Milwaukee close to our house that is a bar for mobsters and pedophiles. Dad would take me there in the car before we went in. I would look at the door with the scorpion on top of the front door. Then Dad would pull a matchbook cover out of his pocket and twirl it around and say, "You've been here before, haven't you?" I would say yes. And this was my programming phrase. He would walk me into the bar club. I would be in my pajamas and shoes. As we walked through the place, all these disgusting men would be staring at me and licking their lips. He would walk me to the bar in the back and talk with the bartender. The bartender would let us into a back hallway. The back hallway was filled with doors. We walked past a door that was opening and another child was being walked out. I was led to another room and put in there with a man who then raped me. Above the bed was a big orange flower. It was a chrysanthemum, a painting of a big orange chrysanthemum over the bed. I remember now that each room had a different flower over the bed. After that, we would go out back to the bartender who would hand Dad money, and then Dad would grab a matchbook cover off the bar, show it to me, and twirl it in his fingers and then tuck it in his pocket. Then he would take my hand and walk me out the door, and we would drive back home, and he would put me in bed. So this is real time. I bought 2 dresses. One had this big orange flower on the front. with blue on the sides of it, and the painting was an orange chrysanthemum with a blue sky background. I bought another dress that's black and white. There's a black and white club somewhere as well. The Black and White Club is a strip club near our house that Dad would drive me to. She remembers men in ejaculating all over her back. So the parts name were Scorpion and Black and White, and they are both 3 to 4 years old. 3 and 4 years old. This went on for a couple of years. The Black and White Club is a brothel except for pedophiles. It was run by a woman. She's an Asian woman with a large hairdo that's pinned up with chopsticks sticking out like an X. Again, Daddy would have a matchbook cover in the car and twirl it around. Sometimes I would have on regular clothes and sometimes I would have on my pajamas. I went there once during the day, but mostly it was at night. I saw two there once. The Black and White Club had lots of blood there. They liked to cut themselves and smear around each other while they were dancing. Gay men with nothing on smearing around blood. She had a basement. We were led down into the basement that had 5 or 6 rooms. This was a BDSM place. They would chain me up and rape me there. It was a man that raped me that had painted himself white on one side and black on the other. No, it was the guards at each door that had black and white faces. They wore black and they had guns. There was a strip club as well, again with the matchbook cover in the car in front of the driver's steering wheel. Then we would go in and walk past ladies who were on poles or dancing on poles or in cages hanging from the ceiling. This place had a doorway to a long hallway with doors as well. There was a man at the door in the front of the hall and the back of the hall. The one at the door would open the door I would go into, and there was a man waiting there. There was also a woman with him. Then they would rape me. This is pole dancer. The highlight means I figured out their part name. I would have to dance for them the same way as my grandpa made me dance, and the man and the woman would rape me with fingers or objects. One time there was a cross that they used. Now, my grandfather, when I was 3 years old in the Masonic Club, the women had to walk past, the women and girls had to walk past him and do a seductive dance and get his approval. And I've read that before. And time goes by, that's what the dashes means. Before Scorpion showed me anything, I had a high-pitched tone in my ears. And suddenly I asked Scorpion if he would like to go in the lake and get wet. Now, this is Lake City, and in my subconscious world, Lake City is holy water because Jesus hangs out there and he baptizes people in there. And so all the water that we drink in Lake City that comes off of a waterfall that's blessed by Jesus and God. So at this point in time, I was asking all of my parts to go in the lake and go swimming, drink some water, because I wanted that spiritual blessing and energy to enter them physically and psychologically. Asked him if he'd like to go in the lake and get wet. Now he's an actual scorpion presenting to me as an actual scorpion on the ground. Must have been 2 or 3 feet long. He said he didn't like to get wet. I asked him if it would be okay if I poured a little on his back. He let me. He relaxed and felt a lot better. He let me it over, pour it all over his whole body. That's when he showed me the first memory of walking through the club. So as I'm doing parts puddles and just seeing random parts walking around, and I don't know who they are, I will approach them and ask them. And so in this instance, in the parts puddle, I'm seeing this scorpion come out of the forest towards the lake. And that's a part's way of asking for help, just presenting themselves to me, not necessarily talking to me. And that's what Scorpion did. I could visualize Lake City. We got the lake and the ice cream shop and the people walking around doing their thing. And I'm like, wow, there's a scorpion here. Okay, let me approach that and see what that's about. And once I poured water on his back. Now keep in mind, I didn't say a word to him. Or I did, asked me if he wanted to go in the water, and he says no. So we're just talking about the environment, not about his memories, not about anything. But once I poured the water on his back, then he started giving me memories because he could relax. More time passes this night, black and white. And now this is what Scorpion is showing me, three different parts. Black and white has white paint on half her face and black on the other half of her face, just like the guards of the door. Pole dancer has chains on her neck and wrists and ankles. Scorpion has on pajamas, a long dress type of pajamas that stop at the knees. They would leave me in my pajamas and just lift it up. They would pinch at my nipples and poke me with things, meaning rape. She says that they would have a scorpion crawl on her as well. So I got three different parts talking to me here, and I'm trying to decipher and untangle them because they're interweaved. I'm 3 and 4 years old. My father's taking me to three different mobster clubs that have three different specialities, and I'm dissociating, and so these three parts wound up getting intermingled and tangled up with each other. It says about 20 or 30 years ago when I had that scorpion dream, it was after having it for about 10 years, maybe 5 times, that I woke up one morning and understood the symbolism. Once I realized that, I forgot the memory again until now. And to this day, I still don't really understand. I think years ago, when I saw that scorpion, I made the association between the scorpion and the color red and sex. And that I knew my father had abused me. I didn't understand the building or where we were. But at that point in time, I was like, oh, the scorpion was a place where I was sexually abused. Okay. And then the memory went back down for another decade or more, I think. So time goes by this night. The Milwaukee mobsters ran the clubs, so that would mean that the Balistreri mobster man would have owned all three of them. Dad just loved rubbing elbows with us, meaning those people. So this part was already, I think, trauma bonded and loyal to the mobsters, was closer to the mobsters than my father was to the mobsters. They liked me more than they liked him, is what I get from this. And I went, oh my goodness. And I just remembered that the wife, the wife of the mobster, the woman that had her son rape me 20 years after the fact, she was in those clubs every once in a while with her husband. They would be sitting at a table in the corner, dressed lavishly, getting drunk, watching out over everything. The lady checked with the madames that everything was running well. That's how they knew my last name 20 years later, because they knew my last name when I was a little girl. Of course, the man mobster and his wife raped me once in the Black and White Club. I believe it was the first time I went to any of them. The Black and White Club first, then the Scorpions, meaning the Scorpion Club, then the Pole Place. They catered to the three different types of deviants in town. Dad always got paid before we left. He would grab a matchbook cover, and then in the car he would twirl it in front of the steering wheel. And then I'm realizing, so before going in the club and after coming out of the club, Dad would do this. So more time goes by this night tent. Here's another disjointed memory. I was recalling being in the army and we were going out into the field. Me and another girl, both of us cooks, were supposed to go out there out into the field, in the back of this truck with all the equipment. It was very cold back there. I crawled up over the equipment to where the cab of the truck would be, and I remember falling asleep on top of a stove that was covered with canvas or something. I was so cold and I was so tired I just passed out. I don't remember what happened after that. Something more likely than not because I had amnesia. That I'm sure that there was another incident at whatever location we wound up at. So my logical mind is talking as well as my part, and and instead of one line, the paragraphs are me and the part trying to sort things out. Something more learning. I said, oh, right now I'm just remembering we got to the field location crawling out of there. We set up the kitchen and our sleeping tents at night. And now I'm recalling that top, meaning the first sergeant of our, I think, did they call him battalion? Of our barracks, did come and get me and take me to his tent after dark. He and his subordinates raped me. There were four of them. There was a guard at the door of his tent. He put a rag or towel of some kind in my mouth and tied it to the back of my head. After he did that, he looked at me and put his finger in front of his mouth for me to be quiet. Then they passed me around between them. Those five men were also present at the circus. And if y'all remember, the circus was when I went to the officers club, and there were, I think, six of us sex slaves, and I think six to eight or maybe 10 officers, and they would take turn raping us, and we were dressed as dolls. I was dressed as Raggedy Ann, and we were drugged, and anyway, so that's the circus. So Top broke me in his office and then out in the field. They had a little playtime, so to speak. That's what he said. It was after that that the circus was introduced, and then after that, Himmler's castle, because I'm having these different, just disjointed memories about being in the military. I'll stop share at different times. And so now I'm starting to understand, oh, first, he'd call me into his office and rape me, and I'd go amnesic. Then we went out to the field in this incident, and now I'm being raped by 4 or 5 men in a tent in the field to see if I could stay quiet. I was quiet in the office, quiet, and then I become amnesic. Then they put me in the circus, which is the officers with the officers club. More people, more victims, not just me now. Will I go amnesic and stay quiet about that? And then to Himmler's castle, where there's hundreds of perpetrators and hundreds of victims. So it was this gradualism approach to get me to Himmler's castle, is what I discovered here. Let me share again. Share. Okay. Her name is Tent. The part name. She had on her Army BDUs. They would paint, and that's just the name of our uniform. I believe it stands for Battle Dress Uniform. They would paint me with camouflage. That's why Top didn't make me have to play war games during the day out in the field, because he would play his war games in his tent in the evening with all of his lieutenants, meaning his inner circle of Satanists. I said, these are some sick effers. I hope God smites them to dust wherever they are. Back to Milwaukee now. This is where Dad met Jack. Jack said I was very precocious. He liked it. Jack is my handler. He and Dad talked at the table lots of times. Dad seemed annoyed when I came out of a room to go home. He wanted to talk with Jack more. So time goes by. Just did a TED talk with the three new girls. They showed me that there was a nasty man and fat man and red man, but I was there at each different club. Daddy even took me there one time without shoes on. The ladies that danced on poles were not nice ladies at all, and the lady with the chopsticks in her hair was really mean. After the TED talk, we went into the bedroom and cried. I cuddled them and comforted them. After about 15 minutes, we went back out and beat Ted again. This time they were very present and hit Ted. They took turns. When they hit, they said, nasty man, fat man, and red man. Nasty man, fat man, and red man. And then they hit at the ladies that were mean to them after that. Then we stopped. Wait, then they hit at the ladies that were mean to them. After that, then we stopped. But my legs got very itchy, and Scorpion was scratching at them pretty badly. That's when we decided to take a bath and shave our legs. During the TED Talk is when we told me that that's when Jack tested Diana. So more time goes on. That's where Daddy had Diana tested. Jack had her answer a bunch of questions in an office for a really long time. I kept telling him I was tired and I wanted to go to bed, but he kept asking questions. Dad would come in and tickle me. Otherwise, Dad gave me candy in the car before we went in the club. That was the one time I did not get any candy. Time goes on, and Daddy took me into the Scorpion Club. They showed me a scorpion in a glass box eating other stuff. It really scared me. They pulled it out and put it by my face, and it almost pinched me. It really scared me. Then, when I went into the bedroom with Nasty Man, he had a box full of scorpions and threw them on the bed with me. I could feel them touching me all over. I looked down and saw a red scorpion on my belly, and I started screaming and screaming. Nasty Man was just laughing at me. He picked them up and told me that they were just rubber toys. I was kicking them off the bed away from me. Nasty Man was just laughing at me. It made my skin itch a lot. So now, in real time, my legs are itching like crazy. The girls want to go take a bath. I'm going to shave my legs as well. That should help with the itching. I kept screaming that they were biting me, and he was laughing. He said that they can't bite me because they're just toys, but I could feel them poking my skin. So at this point in time, I don't know if these are real scorpions or if they are toy scorpions. But as I'm reading this now, here, almost a year later, I know that they were real scorpions. So, your analytical mind is going to want to insert things to be able to accept what you're seeing. And if you can accept that, then later down the road, okay, we'll give you the real. It wasn't toys. It was real thing. At the black and white, they used whips and chains and things like that. One time he made me whip another little boy. He was crying a lot, but I had to keep going. He would poop and pee and get it all over me. Before we left, Daddy had the ladies put me in the tub and wash me up. They were mean. They would holler at me to hurry up. They had to go make money. There was one nice lady called Bubbles. This is the strip club. She put Bubbles in the tub. She told me to soak for a while and she would come back. She was nice and dried me off. I believe it was a man dressed like a lady, but she was nice. This is Pole Dancer, the name of the part. Red Man used to have a red skin. So at this point, I hadn't figured out well, who the red man, nasty man, fat man, which one goes with which one of you girls. And so they're telling me. Red Man used to have a red skin. It was a red leather outfit from head to toe. He's the one that used to use objects on me. He's the one that has lady with him. After they were done with me, I used to just lay there crying. They would make fun of me, and then they would take me out to the ladies. They wanted me to dance on the pole. I didn't like it. If Daddy had time, he would tell me to do it. Everybody would laugh at me. Pole dancer again. When I was taking a bath with that nice lady, she was shaving her legs, and she told me that when Angie was there, Angie liked all the girly stuff. She said that Mary was the feisty one. and that she was still trying to figure me out, but that she thought that I was probably the sad one. When she was done scraping her leg, she told me that I should take lot, lots of bubbly bath and that it would make me feel better. Then she came over with me in the water and we splashed for a while. Then the big lady came and took me to Daddy and we went home. That lady was playing with me and I can see that he had a wiener. They also told me earlier that they do not like, oh, these parts, my parts are now talking to me, the adult. They also told me earlier that they do not like the smoking at all. They don't like the smoke in the air. It makes them cough because they were in bars. I told them that there was some other parts that want to keep it for a while, but that we will work out those issues and then stop again. So if they could be patient with me, I would appreciate it. So Scorpion was for the pedophiles. Black and White was for the BDSM club. The other club was for girly boys. I think that was called the Kit Kat Club. The Scorpion Club had red lights all over in every room, and the Black and White Club had very stark, bright white lights in the room with children. Everyone was dressed in black. The Kit Kat Club had strobe lights and different colored lights in all the rooms. My head would spin a lot in this place. Black and White was just always very scared, and he had to do bad things to other children. Scorpion was always itchy. Kit Kat always felt like she was spinning and nothing was solid. So the three parts are now they're like, okay, you want to know? Okay, we're going to tell you about the lighting in each club. Like, okay. Sometimes they called Black and White Betty White. And that ties in with Bitch, who's another part of me that was abused by this mobster family 20 years later. Okay, so I'm in my 20s, I'm being abused by the same mobster family, but now I'm an adult. Her name was Bitch, and she chose the new name Betty. And BDSM was used on her too. And technically, it was really SRA and BDSM. So my 20-year-old part named Bitch was getting healed and I'm working on Ted and she wanted a new name and she says, well, call me Betty. For me to realize weeks later that Betty was the name of the part that was a little girl in the same mobsters clubs, not their home, now their clubs. And so Bitch, who gave herself a new name, Betty, was giving me a clue that there's another part at a younger age whose actual part name is Betty White. That's what happened here. I had to sort that out. So now Betty wants to have a different name. Bitch was a split off of Betty. The 20-year-old split off the 3-year-old because they were both being abused by the same mobsters. I think that's what Bitch was trying to tell me. So we'll have to get Betty a new name. And Betty's like, yes. I said, plus you three girls need to pick new names as well, and you can live in Lake City with us. And I'd love for you to go take a dip in the lake and maybe go swimming. We'll have some new clothes for you when you get out of the water. I know you don't feel like swimming and playing and having fun. Just walk in and float a little if you like. All that yucky stuff on your skin and clothes will dissolve away and you'll be perfectly clean and pure again. Because that's one of my things. You go into holy water, you're purified. And they're like, really? And I said, I promise. It says, we have some soft white robes for you and we'll take you to a new place to live and you can pick out whatever you want to wear. Julie and Donna will help you. And if you want to live here with me, I would be very happy for that. And you can look out my eyes and touch with my hands and smell with my nose and taste with my mouth. I'm 59 years old. You live inside of me. You are no longer in those prisons. And so Jesus is holding their backs while they float in the water. All of them are crying. All of them are hugging Jesus in the water. He is telling them that they are free now and they can be happy. But he and Diana will take care of them forever and ever. They will never be hurt again. They are so very grateful and happy. They said it was a very long time. They did not think they'd ever get out of there, but they do like the lake and all the people seem nice. Julie and Donna are in the water with them, and now they are walking out and putting on their pretty white, soft white robes. They are going to take you to change your clothes. Then you can get something to eat. If you'd like to play for a little while, you can. Otherwise, just walk around and see what's here. All the children are running up to them and giving them hugs. The teenagers and adults are waving and smiling. They want to take naps for a while. They feel very tired. I said, "All right, my little darlings, you rest well and I'll come check on you later." So pole dancer starts telling me stuff. Was crying in the tub while the man lady scraped his legs. He came over and hugged me. I told him I wanted my mommy. He said that he would try to be my mommy while I was there. He was nice to me. He never poked me. Betty, this is the 20-year-old part, says that she used to have things put over her eyes and she would have to be in the dark a lot. When they took it off, her eyes were itchy. Or no, this is not the 20-year-old part. This is Betty White. You should put that on there. When they took it off, her eyes were itchy. Diana says it must have been a leather blindfold because this was the BDSM club because it made her sweat and it smelled like leather. Plus, it left little black flakes from the fabric on her skin. It used to get into her eyes. She would rub and scratch her eyes a lot to get it off. They remember that Jesus man. They said when things got really bad, they would go sit on his lap. They were okay when they were sitting on Jesus' lap, and now they know they're okay because Jesus is here too. So when they dissociated, they went to God. And I said, "That's right. You know, Jesus is here." And they said, "We don't ever have to go back again." And I said, "Never." So I am sitting on the bed with them while they are slowly drifting off to sleep. I'm stroking their hair and kissing their cheeks, rubbing their backs. They are all drifting off to sleep. I'm softly telling them that I will be here when they wake up again. I didn't think I was going to get this emotional. So I'll show you them. So Sabina. Alrighty, fine. Sabina is Scorpion's new name. There she is. She's a little cutie. But this was the image that she chose, Scorpion. The pedophile mob club. She was a sex slave for perps, and she was the one tested for MK Ultra. And here she is now on the right, little Sabina. She's a cutie. Always loved this little picture of her with the glasses. That is Sabina, and her journal entries are here. Oh, and she later on told me different things that happened at this club, and these are those parts. And there was quite a bit, quite an incident. So just go through those. You'll hear about those later. Okay. The next part, oh no, is that Poppy Flower, Pamela, Paulina? Oh, Eviana, pole dancer. This is pole dancer because at 3 years old, they liked me to try to pole dance. This was the gay mob club, sex slave for perps, the Kit Kat Club. And this is her now, dancing without a pole and happy. Because I'm not a dancer. I'm not a big dancer. So that's Eviana. And I need to find Penelope. And these are the different things that Eviana has remembered since then. Quite a bit. Um, Not a super whole lot. I need to find, where are ya? Tab me. Oh, that's right, because Sabina, I just figured out last week that I had Sabina and Betty White out of order. Okay. Here's Betty White, the black and white club with the guards that were painted black and white. I don't think that I was. That was actually a memory that came later where I actually was painted black and white and it was done on a diagonal, but it was getting mixed up in my head. But this is Whitney. So Betty White turned into Whitney, and this was the BDSM mob club and the sex slave. So those are my girls, my three girls that survived the mob clubs, and they are badasses. Um, that's it for the journals. I'm sorry I was kind of all over the place. I guess the thing I'd like to leave y'all with is I was talking to another survivor, and she told me that, she had had a dream. She didn't really understand the dream, and I didn't interpret it for her, but I said, your parts are telling you something in the only way that they know how. Um, and as you remember, I had a dream about the calendar, and in the session, you'll hear about that where Jon and I kind of dive into that. So having that little tiny bitty memory and being able to talk with Jon about it fleshed it out and I could understand it more fully. Um, but when you have those thoughts just flit through your mind, jot them down. When you have a dream you don't get, don't think, oh, it's just a weird dream. Oh, it's just a strange thought. No, it's someone inside popping a little finger up and tickling you, and they want to know if you're paying attention. And it's really important. Just record whatever pops into your head. It doesn't have to make sense. Jon might be able to help you pull more out of it, or you'll figure it out 2 or 3 or 6 months down the line. Things get jumbled up, but just record it, record it, record it, record it. And for me, it's important. I have it in that PowerPoint. I line it up chronologically because, I had a memory. Let me, oh shoot, did I close it again? No, I'll show you this. Let me share again. A memory with a monkey in it that was like morphing and doing bizarre things. And I was like, well, okay, I know I've had a couple of other monkey things go on. And because I put everything in this PowerPoint, the journal, the pictures, the images, the charts and graphs are separate, but everything goes in this PowerPoint. I was able to do this, do a find, and just put in monkey and go, oh, I've got 9 entries for monkeys. So, okay, I'll go to the first one. Oh, that's right, heroin monkey. This was when I was in that mobster club, the black and white club, and there was a guy shooting up with heroin, and he looked like a monkey. I don't know if I was drugged and just perceiving it. He was behaving like a monkey or whatever, but so I'm like, oh, okay, there's that. And then I went to the next entry. Okay, Monkey Man. So we got Heroin Monkey and Monkey Man. I'm still 3 years old. It's at the Black and White Club. So now this guy on heroin is, I'm perceiving him as an ape that's out of control. He's looking like a monkey. I don't know if a demon's possessed him and he's morphed or whatever. I'm like, okay. All right, so maybe this memory I got 2 weeks ago about a monkey has to do with this part. So I'm like, what else? So this is the same part, just the journal entries. So I'm scanning them. Oh, okay, okay. Okay, and then I run into another one. The black as Monkey Man walks out, Lady in Bra walks in. Okay, same club, same time period. I'm thinking, okay, this monkey memory probably goes with this part. But then I clicked the last one, I realized I'm like, wait a minute, Ruby is like 20, yeah, Ruby's 20 years old. And okay, now I'm seeing a cartoon of a monkey flying around Egypt around a pyramid and the Sphinx. He says that doctor is mocking me. So I had some really bizarre memories, but so I just kind of sat on it for a couple of weeks. And yesterday, as I'm looking at this sticky note, like my puzzle piece, it's on a piece of paper. I jotted down the three different parts that I thought it might be. So I'm just going to sit on it for a little while till I get clarity. And yesterday, when I looked at it, the part said, no, that was me. It was the mob club, 3 years old. He was morphing. He had some sort of demon in him, and it looked like a monkey. And so I got my clarity yesterday. It was like I think I sat on it 3 or 4 weeks. So jot that stuff down. And I know a lot of you may not be computer literate, but if you are, a PowerPoint or a Word document or something where you can keep everything together and keep it in chronological order, you can search for like items. And it was really important for me on this one because I couldn't figure out the monkey thing. I had forgotten. Oh, I remember there was the monkey man when I was 3 and he was on heroin or whatever, but I forgot there was like 9 actual entries. So it's really useful for searching because we have so much abuse to try and flip through pages. I mean, yeah, and you may have a better memory than me, I don't know, but I just wanted to share that too. So I will let you all go. Thanks for listening. I appreciate y'all coming on my journey, and I hope this helps. I hope, well, just I hope it helps. I love you all. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Round and round, what comes